create the ultimate.
Go ahead.
Okay, and registration is required. It is on the Florida Public Library calendar of events. We just want to have an idea of how many people are coming, and so we can put out chairs. If you don't want to go on the website and register, you can certainly call the library at 651-7659, and someone will register register you for the program. It is one of the things that the lady is going to talk about is planting native plants that will encourage the hummingbirds to come to the garden. She will talk about other birds visiting as well as butterflies and pollinators that you want to encourage to come to your garden.
Is this strictly an in-person event, or will this be also?
It's an in-person event. It will not be. It's out on our back deck, so we try to social distance out there. You can wear a mask if you feel uncomfortable, but it is not going to be recorded. She's going to be the presenter is going to be there, and the audience will be participating.
Sounds excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I invite anyone who would like to come, just think about it, register, or call the library and just let us know that you are coming. Obviously, it's outside, and if for any reason that we have a thunderstorm and the program has to be canceled, it will be on our website that as soon as possible. And if you are registered and register with a phone number, we'll also give you a call that it has to be canceled.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Marie. So
you're welcome.
So let's see, I'm going to just share my screen again, and usually we start with our starting slide. This is the episode 8 of season 2, another thrilling adventure here in the Zoom garden plot. And yeah, here's today's agenda. We've got we're going to start with Sarah doing a community garden update. Leslie Holder's not here yet. She has a little bit on her Keyhole Garden. Then we have a lot of good questions this week, and then a few announcements. And for those of you who are watching the video, we've just had Marie start early just in case her electricity goes out and she's not around when her time the announcements would come around. Okay, so the Warwick Community Garden. I'm going to turn the floor over to Sarah. Here was the first picture.
These are our, oh, I think I'm on mute.
You're not.
No.
Okay. These are our sugar snap peas. Those of you who have followed us, you saw them when they were little tiny plants. And I think I was telling you how large they were.
Wow, that is
Wow.
the largest snap peas I've ever seen.
And they just started producing this week. So we're very excited. This particular sugar snap pea, we've grown many years. They come from Johnny's, and there was a problem with the seed for a few years, so we didn't have these, and they're just incredible. So that was very exciting. And like all of you, the combination of the heat and the rain, things have really grown. The weeds have grown, everything's grown. So
yeah, those are monster peas, my God.
Sarah,
Yeah.
how closely did you sow those?
March.
But are they very densely sowed? I mean, how many starts, I guess, are there? Like, how many did you put in the ground? Because they're beautiful and just so lush.
Oh yeah, I'm big on we have a lot of people, so I plant pretty thick. They're planted on both sides of the trellis has, two parts. It's a V, and then we plant on both sides at the bottom, about an inch apart and staggering them. So it's a lot of plants.
An inch apart. Okay, that's
Should
great.
check, make sure no one's lost in there.
Yeah, you can't get inside there. It's like an inch or two
I mean,
apart.
one of your members might be lost in the pea pile.
We were looking at you can't stop the weeds from growing in there. So we were joking about if we should send someone in under the tunnel.
That's what I'm saying.
It's then one of the kids, the little ones, get them.
Right.
You'll never
Yeah.
find them.
They have we've been fortunate this year because the heat wave got them about, 2 weeks ago, they were about, say 2 feet shorter. So the heat really gave them a boost and got the pods, the blooms and the pods developing. But it's a short season. And once, we have a heat wave again, they'll peter out and this whole thing will be ripped out by usually mid-July. And I think we're going to grow pole beans. Many of our members are like a little over the 50-year-old age. I'm being generous. So no one wants to be down kneeling to get the beans anymore. And then we might put some winter squash on one of the trellises. So that's our happy pea story.
Were you referencing the 39 age bracket?
Yeah, 39, 40. Some of us have gotten a little older, just a tad.
Okay.
Harder and wiser.
So this is a picture of under where those two people are putting the agribah down. That's arugula, Swiss chard, lettuce, scallions, and I think that's all that's under there. So what we were doing is there was the heat wave on the forecast, the 90-degree heat, and the 90-degree heat will, destroy your spring lettuces, which are doing beautifully within a day or two. So we put the hoops up and put the cover over them to save them from that heat. And if you're new to this and new to gardening, it's a really good technique to use in the summer. We usually keep I don't bring it all the way down to the ground. Like in the winter, you want to keep the heat in. This is to shade the greens from the intense sun, and they will produce a lot longer. I've gotten the Swiss chard to go all summer long. And then these rainstorms we've just been talking about are another really good reason to use cover. I wouldn't leave it over my tomatoes all summer, but that same day we planted our second row bed of tomatoes. And it was done on purpose because we were getting rain and heat. What do tomatoes love more? But at the same time, there was the potential of heavy rains damaging those seedlings that hadn't really taken hold. So we also put the cover over the new bed of tomato plants, not the older bed. So this, I know Bill talks about this row cover a lot, but it's a really useful thing to have for your garden. And if you see bad weather's coming, or if you've just put in new seedlings or planted a bed, it's great to put the row cover on so it doesn't get washed out. So that's my row cover story. And we've purchased it from Johnny, so you can also get it on Amazon. So anyway, next one. So on the left, that's just a picture to give you an idea. Our garden doesn't have we do not have individual beds. So that just, we're out there planting tomatoes and the people in the front are planting peppers. But we'll have, 3 or 4, someone else's, Jeff loves to do wood chips. So someone else is putting wood chips down somewhere. So we'll have people working on several activities within the garden on a session, because there's 2 sessions a week. They're for an hour, but then they tend to go on for a little bit more than an hour. And on the right, our sweet potato slips finally arrived. I don't know how many of you grow sweet potatoes. But
Mine came this week too.
Yeah, there was something with the growers this year, and they shipped very late. I don't know about yours, but mine were pathetic when they came.
So
Right?
Is it okay if I interrupt super quick about sweet potatoes? So I've never grown sweet potatoes before, like as slips, and we never had them up north. Like when at ShopRite, where I would get most of my seedlings, I never saw sweet potatoes. But since I moved down south, I saw a bunch of sweet potatoes, and they literally just showed up within the last week, and they all look awful. But I bought them anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they usually don't look good, but these were really sad looking. They normally they arrive in mid-May, but I got them from Johnny's, and they had said that they wouldn't be shipping till the end of May this year. And then, I still hadn't seen them. I called and they said, oh, there's a problem. They're shipping out next week, which would have been the last week of May or the first week of June. And usually when they get here, they do have some roots on them and they're sad looking, but I put them in water. And because they arrive when it's still cool, I grow them on the kitchen counter for a few weeks and they have leaves. Well, these poor little babies had all sorts of dead leaves, and they barely had if a root was on it, it was 1/4 of an inch. So I planted about 25. So I planted the half that had some roots starting, and the remainder are on the kitchen counter soaked in paper towels, and they are starting to grow roots. I was happy that this weekend we were having cooler weather and rain, because otherwise this would have been another labor intensive, putting the hoops up, putting the covers on, checking them every day for water. But I looked this morning and they're fine. And then later on, I'll show you pictures as they grow, because you'll be amazed at these sad little slips, what they grow into. Right, Nicole?
Yeah,
And
and
that's
I was just at Tractor Supply. They just had them on sale and they looked beautiful. And they were in the 6-packs. And some of them, I love when you look and you find like 3 starts in one cell. It's always kind of like Christmas. But they were a good price and they look really healthy. In case anything happens to these, I'm just letting.
Well, these are just bare slips.
Yeah.
That come. It's just a slip about 8-9 inches long, and you plant it up to the node. And this is the mound. You plant sweet potatoes. I don't know how you do them, but we plant them in a mound because you want very loose soil. It's a tuber, so you have to prepare your bed, mound it up so that you get a good supply of tubers. So that's it. Everything we've planted 2 sessions of 2 rows like that of tomatoes. There's beans planted, cucumbers, zucchini.
Really quick, just going back to the sweet potatoes really quick. Do you eat the greens? Because the greens are supposed to be highly nutritious.
I've never eaten the greens.
Potato greens are the only potato greens that you can eat, but they're supposed to be highly nutritious. Yeah.
They are. They're good. They are
we'll
really
try
good.
them. So far, only the groundhog has eaten them. We'll give them a try.
Look, groundhog can be picky eaters. You see right there, that's a sign. That is really good food.
So that's what's happening in the community garden this week.
Very good. Thank you, Sarah.
Excellent.
And I see we have one person on the phone. Who is that person on the phone, may I ask?
Lynn Thompson.
Oh, Lynn. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi, I've been trying to get on the Zoom, but it's telling me the password is wrong. So I decided I didn't want to miss, and I dialed in.
Oh, I don't know the password. Can anybody, maybe I can find it.
I just connect. I've never used a password.
Yeah, there was no password to get in.
I tried. Yeah, I got an email from Kate Schmidt that gave me
You want the password?
029213.
There you go.
Yes, it won't take it. It absolutely will not take it. And I do Zoom calls all the time. I'm a village trustee in Walden. We've been doing all of our meetings remotely, for this whole COVID thing. So I'm very familiar with Zoom, but it absolutely will not let me get on. so I'm
Try-
on the phone
tr-
to
try this.
participate.
Send an email right now to Grow Local GWL. That's Grow Local Greenwood Lake. Grow Local GWL at Gmail.
Wait a minute.
Oh.
Let me write it down because I will never remember all of that. Okay, Grow Local. Go ahead.
GWL.
Grow Local.
Grow Local GWL. It's abbreviation for Greenwood Lake.
GWL.
At gmail.com.
Okay. At
And then
Gmail.
Chad can send you the link, and then that will work. He'll send it to you directly. I don't know when Kate sent it out.
It'll be
Maybe
different.
she sent
It'll
an
be
old one.
different. Okay, I'll do it right now, and let's see if I can get on to join you people.
All right. You wait now. I guess Leslie's not on, no?
Right. Leslie, and so we can go over this quickly. As we recall, in late April, Leslie shared this picture of her Keyhole Garden. And this picture doesn't quite show it, but the bed is like 2 or 3 feet deep. And this in the center is supposed to be for composting. It's kind of like a wicker wastebasket or something. And she layers compost in there, and she says, and she puts stuff in, and when she comes back and it's only half the height it used to be. So she gets the idea that it's actually composting stuff. So she keeps putting stuff in. This was how it looked in late April. And this is how it looks now. So she has some of her plants going. We were hoping she would update us regularly, but I was under the impression that she had like a whole yard full of garden and stuff. I don't know that we need, a big update every week or every other week on just the Keyhole Garden, but I thought it's nice to see how it's going.
Mhm.
And somebody else emailed me, the person who lives down the street from Nicole. I don't know if you got together with her. She was looking for red wigglers because she had bought some device like this.
Right. I had sent her an email and told her to come by, but we didn't wind up connecting.
Sorry to hear. Oh, well.
It happens.
Okay. So here's the first question. And does the poser of this question want to just read it out loud and explain it?
Sure. This is only my second garden ever in my life. And so I threw in a whole bunch of 2 or 3 spinach plants, 2 or 3 arugula, 2 or 3 romaine. So basically what happened is I threw them all in the end of April. And then I want to say about 2 weeks ago, they all seemed gigantic and ready to harvest. So I got like so much lettuce out of it, but I obviously can't use it all. And so I'm confused as to, and then literally they bolted. All of them went to seed. So now I'm trying to figure out, like, the whole point was to actually be able to use it for occasional salads throughout. But I was wondering, is this the way lettuces grow, that it's only one shot and then it's over?
There's actually, with these type of greens, spinach you really only grow around here in the spring. Once it gets hot, it bolts, you pull it out, and then you put another planting in towards the fall.
Okay, so it is only a one-shot deal, right? It's like you can, or should I have weeks ago when it started to grow, started pulling some leaves off for salads?
Yes.
So I waited too long is what I did. Okay.
Right. When you buy stuff at the grocery store, they're selling you ahead. Like in our garden, we have, 20 to 30 active members. So we harvest everything by individual leaves or cutting a chunk of leaves. That way, the plant is able to provide, enough for a salad to a number of people, and it regrows until it gets too hot in the summer, at which point you usually have to take it out. Arugula, and we plant in succession. So the arugula bolted early, but if you just cut off the top, it's still good. It's really spicy then. Yum. Yeah. Right, Nicole? But you could keep planting arugula all summer,
Oh, okay. That's good to know. I didn't know that.
Right.
There was
Sorry.
one word that Sarah used that I just want to repeat. That's succession.
Yes.
They talk about succession planting.
Right.
Last year we had a guy who, it's like he had like a really long bed, and you could see like in the first 3 feet of it, he planted a row of spinach and chard and lettuce or something, I don't know. And then 2 weeks later, the next 3 feet, he did the same thing. And then
Right.
later, the next 3 feet, he did the same thing. So of course he had a big space.
Right.
But that's succession planting. You keep, every 2 weeks, you put something new in.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah,
was
I
waiting
just-
to see if Phil was going to answer that question because he's a big succession lettuce eater, right? You guys eat all year round your lettuce.
I try to eat lettuce all year round. What I do every 2 weeks, I start about 20 plants. I put 20 seeds in and they germinate, and I let them get to be about maybe 2 inches tall, and then I plant them out. And so every 2 weeks over the summer, I do that.
So could
And,
I, it's too late for me to do romaine and spinach again though, right? I have to now wait until like September?
Oh no, romaine lettuce should go now.
Romaine will.
Okay. Okay.
I
so
would have thought
can-
it would have bolted.
Yeah, so far the arugula bolted and the spinach bolted and the romaine didn't. But
Yeah.
I just, it was like this huge harvest, and what am I gonna do with all this, right? So I felt like I don't know, it just felt like I overdid it. I wasted it, and because I think I didn't know that I could have been picking earlier. So it was just something I needed to learn about.
You know, or if you have a shady part of your garden, you know, the more you can
Wow.
shade them out, the better, or do with, you know, Sarah did, you know, you
Cover.
put a little light row cover.
That's
Yeah,
good
but
to know.
same thing with our community garden, every spinach bolted instantly. They grew and the whole bed bolted right away. 'Cause I put stuff in too late.
Yeah, I find that in July and August, the heat is just too much for lettuce. That's why I plant it every
Right.
2 weeks. And you
Right.
do get good lettuce, but then it bolts fairly quickly.
Okay,
So that's why you have to keep planting it. And I find for 2 people eating lettuce once a day, you know, about 20 plants seems to be about enough.
yep, got it. And I didn't even get a chance to, the only other thing that really bolted was the cauliflower, because I guess it was that 90 degree and then the 40 degree. So it was literally, it was like this beautiful leaves, and then it just went like just totally tall seeds. So I lost my cauliflower too.
Yeah,
Was this
that-
your
that
question too,
happened.
Colleen?
Say again? Yeah, this was
this-
my second question. So I've never ever planted I've never planted pretty much anything for the most part. But this time I decided to try asparagus. So I went online to learn how to plant it, and I planted like 5 and so now of the 5 places I planted, and I think I planted them properly, in 3 of the 5 look like that now. They look like ferns. So is that asparagus or a weed? I wasn't sure.
That's asparagus.
Did you
And so-
put in roots, or did you?
Roots.
Root.
I went and I got them from Midsummer Farm, and they
Okay.
were all, you know, like these beautiful, they looked like octopus.
And
Yes.
they were big roots.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, after you plant them, this will grow this season, but it's probably gonna be 3 years before you can harvest.
Right. So do
So
I do anything to these things?
just
at
keep
all?
them fertilized and mulched.
Fertilized and mulched, and then at the end of the season, do I cut them down or just leave, don't even touch them?
Oh, when they die back, you can cut them back over the winter.
Okay, got it. So I wasn't sure. So I got 3 out of 5. It'll be very interesting to see.
And they'll grow very tall.
Yeah,
Very tall ferns. Yes, they're quite pretty, I think.
yeah. I was shocked when I saw the 3 kind of inching out, but I literally wasn't sure if it was a weed or not. So
The other 2 might still come up.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
don't give up on them.
Don't give
Alright.
up, yeah.
I'll let you
And-
know if I see them.
And when I looked at that picture, I'm not the most advanced gardener in the group, but when I looked at it, my first thought was, get mulch there.
Okay,
My asparagus patch has issues with weeds. And so the
Mhm.
more you can mulch and keep weeds down and get weeds out while they're young,
mhm.
you know, years from now, you'll be happy.
Okay, that sounds like a plan.
I also wanted to add, like, it is too late now for spinach, regular spinach, but you can do like a Malabar spinach or a strawberry spinach right now as other
Okay.
options for greens.
Okay.
And they have a much better heat tolerance that isn't going to allow you to bolt. And then, yeah, don't be shy to pick things off as they're growing. I always find like if you leave 2/3 of the growth there, you can pull back 1/3 and start to harvest and eat that. In addition, if you find that you have a really big harvest, it can last a really long time in your fridge if properly stored. Like my grandmother always taught me, you put a paper towel or
That's what
something
I
in
did.
with it, and
Yep.
it pulls that moisture out and allow the lettuce to expand further.
Yeah, I've been eating salad like 3 times a day now.
I agree with Nicole wholeheartedly. The cut and come again is an excellent method, and leaving 2/3 of the plant will keep the plant alive. I totally agree. Also, chard is, from what I understand, Swiss chard is heat tolerant.
Okay, Swiss chard. And can you tell me again? I just found my pen, the names of the
Malabar
spinach.
spinach.
Malabar.
Yep, and strawberry spinach will get you
Alright.
through the hotter months.
All
And
right.
you have to remember too, there's a difference between those leafy salads and then the head lettuces.
Right.
So like the head lettuce, I don't believe you're going to be able to cut back like 1/3 of that, right? Like you're going to have to
Right.
wait for that whole head to develop. Otherwise you're going to top it essentially. But for the
Right.
leafy stuff, feel free to kind of, I always go a little crazy with that. Like I sew really thick and then just start to pull and it'll just keep coming again. I like that cut and come again, right, Michael?
Yeah.
That's what you said.
Okay.
I do the same thing because they're hard to plant. So I just put them in thick and then.
Just letting you know that.
With the Swiss chard, I will say, if you can put a cover, a light cover over it, it keeps a better flavor over the summer because it does get sunburn. So
Cover. Yeah.
I've had Swiss chard to keep it going all summer, just picking up leaves. If the leaves get dried out, throw them out, and it'll keep growing. But it does really help if you have a cover over it.
Okay.
And also the Malabar it's in trellises up. It's not like the
Right.
typical spinach. You would want a trellis. So, yeah, it's quite pretty and it grows up. And Sarah, I was going to say, how long could you realistically stop something from bolting?
Well, the Swiss chard doesn't bolt.
No, I'm
I mean,
talking about
eventually-
when you mentioned earlier that you like for the arugula and stuff. Like how long could you fight nature? Like could you just keep on pulling out the top of it?
Arugula will bolt, and then we go and we cut all that bolt off.
Mm-hmm.
And unlike the spinach, just it gives up. When it gets hot, it just says, I'm done. And some lettuces begin to lose their flavor; they get bitter. But arugula already has that spicy peppery, so eventually it'll peter out. But I've kept arugula going for several months, and then I put more in. But the bolting doesn't affect the flavor as much as some of the other greens.
Right, because it's already sort of spicy and bitter to begin with. So
Right, it's not a delicate flavor.
yeah. Okay, thank you so much.
I'm very
You're
curious
welcome.
what Malabar spinach tastes like. Does it taste just like regular spinach? Malabar spinach? Or is it
Close.
taste? Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I like it. I think it tastes very similar.
Thank you, everybody. I'm going to run, but thanks again. I'll
Okay.
be back. I'll be back with more novice questions.
One of the things we have growing this year and every year, just before you run, is amaranth. It's like purple amaranth, and it'll grow to be 4 or 5 feet tall, and you can eat all the leaves.
Amaranth?
Amaranth, yeah.
I thought that was a
Close to
green.
Strawberry spinach. It has that same kind of falling piece to it, right? The amaranth is kind of like decorative and ornate.
Yeah.
And then the leaves, same thing with the strawberry spinach. You just pull them off and it's delicious.
All
And
right.
we let it go to seed, and it actually is self-seeded itself. We didn't even plant it, and we have a whole bed full of it again this year.
All right. I'll give that a try.
And don't
Thanks so
forget your
much.
sweet potatoes leaves also. You can eat those greens too.
I didn't try sweet potatoes, but I'll go to Tractor Supply and get some. I still have room in my garden because I'm okay. Thanks so much, everybody. Thanks again.
Take care, Colleen. Thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.
All right.
You want to do your shimmy yet, or you want to continue?
Yes, now would be the time to do the shimmy in place. For those of you who are new, after half an hour. Actually, I have a standing desk now. I don't know if you folks realize it, but I'm standing up here.
You got a
So-
great haircut.
Oh, well, thank you. It was
I was
about
about to
time.
say, you look taller, Michael.
At all events, it's hard on a body to sit for an hour. So we want everybody to stand up, shimmy in place for 1 minute, turn around, do whatever you do, come sit down. A lot of us prefer not to shimmy on screen. You're welcome to do that.
It's almost pink outside right now. Is anybody else noticing this like purple
Yes.
hue?
A friend of mine used to always say, red at night, sailors delight. Red in the morning, sailors take warning. And then he would say, too bad we're not sailing anywhere. Or, good thing we're not sailing anywhere.
Nicole, your hair also looks phenomenal.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's all gone.
I'm jealous of everybody's haircut. I haven't gotten my haircut in like a year and a half.
What's up with that, Shannon?
Been COVID.
Yeah.
Lynn, were you able to get that email address? Did that work out?
I did. Could you see me? It's saying
Yes.
I'm on here.
Yeah,
I
she's
can
on there,
see
but
all of you.
it still has the phone.
I know.
Oh.
I don't know how to get rid.
I see. Let's see. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute just so I can see everyone. Okay. Good. Apparently, yes, your phone is still on if you want to disconnect your phone.
I tried to do that. I have a new phone and I don't want to lose everybody. I tried to disconnect it. It's not letting me. It's not letting me
Okay.
hang up.
No problem. No problem.
So we'll just
It's all
count you.
good.
We'll count you as 2 people for our head count.
Okay, so on to the next question. Here it is. And Gail, go ahead. Tell us about your
Okay, well,
mysterious.
totally. I was in England for a month, and you can't believe how gorgeous the wisteria is everywhere in London. I mean, it's so lush. And my question was going to be, why doesn't my wisteria have many flowers or any flowers? But 2 weeks ago, it looked healthy and there were leaves and flowers were starting to come. And then a week ago, it started to drop its leaves. And now most of the leaves have dropped. And this is what I'm faced with. So does anybody know what would traumatize my wisteria?
The real mysteria.
I mean, it's not
Hi,
an
Michael.
easy, it's not easy to grow, that I know. But I mean, could it have gone into shock because of the weather?
I wonder if voles or if some animal started chewing at its roots, or
No,
did you
I
look?
don't.
Did
I
you
don't
look like
see any. No,
did anybody like girdle the bark or something?
no, I haven't noticed that. It all seems that the leaves started to wilt a week ago. They started to just, shrivel up. And, I water it, maybe I don't water it enough, but we've had enough rain. It's about 10 years old. It's not a new plant. And now it's mostly leafless.
I don't think it's the weather, Gail, because I have one someone gave me a number of years ago, and it's just really started to take off. And this spring, it's growing over my deer fence, and it's very lush. And, the weather's been the same in this general area, so I don't think it's the weather. It must have some sort of disease, but I don't know, what that would be.
Okay. I'll keep you posted to see.
Yeah, I'm not a wisteria expert. You can always call up that Master Gardener hotline, because that's their mission. If they don't know, to find to give you an answer or an idea. Are there any weird insects around it?
What I'm wondering.
Haven't noticed that either. There's still some leaves on the top.
I see that.
Yeah.
I see that.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody.
So what's next? Oh, announcements. Of course, it felt like a long time since the last meeting to this meeting, to me anyway. But we're meeting the 2nd and the 4th, so it was 3 weeks between the last meeting and this one. But the next one is 2 weeks from tonight, June 28th, and it is the longest days of the year. So the gardeners may be out in their gardens. We are meeting at 8 instead of 7:30. Once again, Sustainable Warwick is running our Triple Win Community Solar Campaign. If you don't have your own solar panels, but you have your own electricity account, you definitely want to have community solar. It's not another ESCO. It's another good deal. It's something else. You end up getting a 10% discount, up to 10% discount on your electric bill. And when you sign up, one of the things you could do is in the past, Sustainable Warwick got a lot of referral bonuses for this, but this year we're not getting any. We're promoting 6 other nonprofits that are, including Grow Local Greenwood Lake, who, of course, Chad is putting so much blood, sweat, and tears into that one, and the Historical Society, the Humane Society, a lot of other worthy groups around town. So if you don't have your own solar panels, but you have your own electric account, please definitely ask about the community solar, and I'm happy to ask questions about it if anyone wants to ask those later. And also, I've been noticing that the Audubon Society, I used to think, oh, they're just for the birds. Not true. They have been, they have a new campaign on to promote the planting of native plants. So just sort of keep an eye out for that. And then Marie already told us about the event at Florida Public Library next week. And I didn't realize that the motto of Florida Public Library is check it out. I like that. That's cool. How long have I been missing out on that, Marie? Has that been up?
I don't know. We see you all the time.
Yeah, okay. Patricia, is Patricia still here? Yes. So
I'm here.
Go ahead and tell us about this place.
Oh, yes. I was on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota for a few days. We went out actually for a funeral, but someone there took me around this incredible development. Typically the diet of the people who live there is pretty appalling. They rely heavily on what they call commodities, which is nasty cheese and, all kinds of processed foods. But they got funding actually from a Saudi Arabian prince to put in this incredible, it's a geothermal greenhouse, and they can grow vegetables all year long. This is the outside part of it on the left. And they've got, as you can see, raised beds. They also grow things in these little round bales of hay. I don't know if you're familiar with this. I'd never heard of it before, but they process the bales of hay. They pour fertilizer into the bales and then grow directly into the bales of hay. And inside, I did take some pictures of inside, and they've got crops growing all in there. That's it. And all along the sides, they have these microgreens, which they're harvesting now and supplying. Oh yeah, that's the fertilizer they use. I mean, it costs a huge amount of money, but it's supplying fresh food to people who otherwise wouldn't have it. So it was just a wonderful thing to see this development, because we've been going out there for quite a few years and have always said, oh God, we wish we could get some fresh food to these people. And here it is. So it was a happy story.
So it's geothermal. So that means it's heated and cooled through the year.
Yeah.
With
and
geothermal.
they have a whole ventilation system, with fans and everything to circulate the heat and the cool.
Did you go inside?
Yes,
What did it feel like inside?
it just felt normal, you know. I mean, it gets very hot where they are in South Dakota, but it did not feel very hot.
This is the inside of it where we're looking at right
Yeah,
now.
yeah. All on the right-hand side, that's all some kind of stuff to keep, you know,
That's what I
thermal
asked about.
material to keep out the heat and the cold. It gets brutally cold there in the winter as well.
Is this something they would just put up recently in this spring?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, no, I think they started it last year, but they're still
They did?
working on it. Yeah, and they're doing a whole gazebo. They're developing the powwow site actually at the near the road. I didn't take a whole picture of the outside, but
That's
it's,
spectacular because the amount of hunger there is
yeah.
huge. Yeah.
Well, it's malnutrition rather than hunger.
Yes.
You know, diabetes is rampant there,
Yeah.
and obesity because their diet has been traditionally very poor. So
Yeah.
this is a wonderful thing for them.
That's a great correction because I always call it, you know, that they don't have much to eat, but they do have things to eat, just not nutritious.
Right.
Which in a way is worse because you feel satiated, but are still not nourished.
Right.
Yeah, I understand that distinction. Thank you.
Yeah, and that picture of the ground outside looked very unforgiving and really bad, you know, soil, like
Yeah.
like a desert almost.
Actually, those are wood chips.
Oh. But
They
still, I
have a
don't
whole-
see a ton of trees or anything. I don't see a lot of
No.
trees.
There's some
Well,
green back there, Chad. You can see it through the kettle panel and stuff.
Oh, okay.
It's actually
All the way in the
very lush and green.
Oh,
You know,
all right. Yeah, I guess I thought that was sand.
that's an interesting thing too. The first time I went out there was probably more than 20 years ago. And it was in the middle of the summer. It was really dry and dusty and horrendous. And then the next time I had to fly out there because my husband had an accident. And when the plane was coming over South Dakota, I was like, turn this plane around. I'm going the wrong way. I must be over Ireland. It's so green and lush.
Yes.
And, you know, with the weather patterns changing, what used to be very arid, it's now become very kind of lush and green. So, but that's all wood chips around there. And they've got a whole drainage system. It's incredible. It's more than I could describe at this moment.
That's great.
Yeah.
Michael, you've grown in hay bales, haven't you? Didn't you do potatoes in hay?
Oh, is that the end? I guess that is the end. How about that? I'm going to stop sharing. I've heard, no, let's see. I sometimes grew potatoes in compost, but not it was just in hay. My niece and her husband talk about down in Texas, like at the end of the year, people will take like a tomato and sort of punch it into the middle of a hay bale. And then when you come back next year, tomato plants will be growing out of it. That's what I was thinking of when I heard about this. Gosh, you know, the theme that I put forward was, and I took a picture, but I forgot to put it in the PowerPoint, all the pictures that went in today, but I forgot this one. I've got this, the theme I brought up for today for discussing was, did you ever sort of break the rules? You know, you did something you weren't supposed to do, or, you know, but actually it really worked out really well for you. So our strawberry plants, they grew way out of the bed. And, you know, probably would have been better to hack them back or whatever. And so that's one kind of rule that we kind of sort of broke. And another one was the main bed itself. I probably got around to taking the straw off it like way too late this spring. Well, what's happened is all of the strawberries that were way out of the bed, they were like getting ripe really a lot faster than the others. And the ones that were mulched late, they were just getting ripe later. So it was nice because it ended up sort of staggering my strawberry harvest. And our strawberry harvest is really good this year.
Yes.
For the last few days, it was like, I have a nice big Frisbee. You go around and go through the strawberry patch and fill a huge Frisbee. And what we didn't eat by the end of the day, we're putting in the freezer. So it was really good. Today, I got a third of the way around the strawberry patch, and that Frisbee was heaped to the top. I'm giving them to neighbors now.
Do you have your strawberries covered? Because I find I have to fight the birds.
You know, last year, of course, we have discussed this before. Last year, the squirrel population was really out of control, and we got hardly any strawberries because of the squirrels and chipmunks.
Yeah.
But this year, we're seeing hardly any of those, and we're getting a lot of the strawberries for ourselves this year.
Okay. Because I don't usually cover them because they, you know, since they need to be pollinated, but the birds have just been dive bombing. So, you know, I'll go and get a few, but, and then, you know, I have a couple of different plants and I just have them in pots and they do very well and they overwinter very well. And I leave one thinking the birds can have that one and I'll eat the others, but it doesn't work. They don't know how to share. So
I think it's a matter of quantity. If you have a lot of them, you'll end up getting some.
When you have it in the pot and you say you overwinter it, how do you overwinter?
I just leave it there.
Just leave
you
it
know, a couple of
outside.
years I took them in the garage. A couple of years I put a frost protector around them. And then last year I just left them sitting there. And I guess I have about 50 plants.
Wow.
And they're doing well and they're really delicious this year. But I haven't figured out what to do with the birds because I want them to be able to, the butterflies and the bees and everything to get to the plants, but then I don't cover them in time to keep the birds from, you know, having a feast. There'll be like a dozen birds I can see heading that way.
Like you hang CDs and other things, or like just things that are shiny that'll catch the sun and that'll defer the birds a little bit. I've heard that works.
I've tried that. A friend gave me an owl that, you know, the head moves. And I went out one day and a bird was sitting on the head of the owl. So
I think you're keen to that, but I know like if something catches their eye, you know, or something reflects towards them, Stacy at the Greenwood Lake Garden Market had told me that really has worked for her in the past.
I'll try that again because I tried that when I had them on the deck. And it didn't work, but it may now that I have them out in the yard. I'll see. I've got some old CDs I can put on a string and yeah.
You could have some of mine too.
Yeah.
I heard a rumor that you could paint rocks to look like strawberries and the birds would be so upset at picking the hard rocks that they wouldn't want to attack your strawberries because they don't like pecking hard things. I have not tried this, but I've heard if you paint decoy strawberries and they attack those, they're not going to want to attack your real strawberries when the time comes.
Huh. But that's kind of mean, Shannon.
Yeah.
I have not tried it. I'm just saying. But 50 plants is a lot of plants. I'm surprised you're not getting more out of your 50 plants.
Yeah, it's not that I'm not getting a lot of strawberries. I just want them all, you know.
Does anyone have a hard time with blueberries? I'm not having any, I've heard a few people say that blueberries not growing excellent.
My blueberries are growing. They're still not ripe yet.
Huh.
They're growing more slowly, but they're still growing.
Yeah, mine are growing slowly, and like two other people said that they're having trouble with blueberries.
My first year, this is my first year growing blueberries. My variety is a Duke blueberry, and they're not supposed to be ripe until July, from what I understand. So maybe it depends on the variety of blueberry you have.
Shannon, you're in a new place and you've already got blueberries established to the point they're going to give you berries?
Yeah, I have 2 plants. I bought them with flowers on it. I am rocking it down here. It's actually being really nice to me. I have 2 plants. They came with flowers. They have a ton of blueberries on them, but I am in a high bird area. There's not a lot of wildlife around here, but there's definitely birds. So I don't know if I'm going to get to eat any of them, but they're there and they're turning blue. So July theoretically is when the Duke blueberries will be ready. I have strawberries in the same patch. The strawberries are coming in. I literally have 2 plants. My neighbor has a ton. His are producing really, really well. He's been able to get his. So I don't know if I'm going to get to eat any of the strawberries, but again, it's just the 2 plants I'm just establishing. But I created beds using the layer method where you cover the grass with layers of compost and cardboard. And wherever I built a bed, all of the weeds that are coming up are highly nutritious edible weeds like lamb's quarters or purslane. So I'm actually really happy with how things are going so far.
Excellent.
Very hot here. It's very, very hot here.
So Shannon moved down to the Jersey Shore thereabouts, right?
No, I'm in the Philly area. I'm close
Philly
to
area.
Philadelphia.
Okay. So the one thing I wanted to point out, so if you look, I've got these cedar posts came out of the woods. Actually, I also like to point out that sometimes they have incredible sales at Walmart. Aisle 4 for those cedar posts, Anyway, I got these out of the woods behind our house. But this is supposed to be a trail. This is a bed over here. This is a strawberry bed here. So all of this stuff over here, I don't know if you can see my cursor, has grown over. It's not supposed to be there. If we stayed in the lines and, colored in between the lines like we're supposed to. And these were the ones that were going ripe first. And so we were getting, and the rest they're just going great this year.
When you say cedar posts, oh, go ahead, Nicole.
Sorry.
No, please.
I mean, do you think maybe it's because they're the younger plants that they're maturing first? Like they have something to prove? Because I know the older the strawberry plants, their life cycle kind of changes, right? So maybe it has to do with them being younger?
I'm going to defer to Bill on that. Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, it was when Bill and Mary were thinning their strawberry patch, like I need to do this summer, that I got my strawberry plants. So at some point I'm going to want to thin this, and if somebody wants some extra strawberry plants, they'd be most welcome. But Bill, what do you think?
You can never have too many.
Agreed.
What do you think, Bill?
Well, I think because they've gone over there, they have more room and they're not as crowded as the other ones, and they're getting more light, and that's why they produced earlier.
Okay.
That's my guess. Other than that, each strawberry plant usually puts out 4 to 8 runners. So theoretically, you could have 8 strawberry plants for each one that you have now. But you need to let them root and then cut them and plant them, later in the summer to get them to be an individual strawberry plant. But in practice, we usually pull a lot of them out because there's just so many.
Michael, how many did you start with, and then now you're here? How long did that take? What did you start with, and how long did it take you to get to this?
I'm sorry, I don't have any answer to that question. I think this was
for 10 years, under 10 years?
Well, we've only been here 8 years, and this garden here, this whole garden here, we didn't even start planting here until, let's say, 5 years ago. And I don't think maybe 4 years. But we started with, a bunch of plants that we got from Bill and Mary, because like he said, there's so many of them. When it's time to thin them out, you just have so many extra plants.
How long do you think it will take for my 2 to get pretty established? Do you think I'm going to have to buy a bunch more?
Why don't you talk to your neighbor and see when he's thinning his strawberry patch and get some from him?
I don't think he thins it, but I'll ask him about it for sure.
I'll just boast really quick. I grew strawberry plants from seed this year. I didn't think I was going to be able to do it, but I did.
Wow.
Did you get the seeds? Did you buy the seeds, or did you do it from a strawberry?
I bought the seeds. I had the seeds.
Still amazing.
I was supposed to get an arrow garden, but that didn't work out. Or whatever the hell it was. I can't remember. The old garden. It's supposed to turn and pollinate itself. So I had bought strawberries. I was like, I'm going to have strawberries all year round. It's going to be great. Didn't work out. But I started them this winter, and they're outside because I grew my strawberries last year in, what is it called when it rains? In a gutter. I had a gutter on my back deck on one of the railings, but I did nothing with them over the winter, and I kept waiting all spring for them to come back, and I had only one little green piece out of like 6 different plants. So I had started these starts and I put them out. Nothing's happened yet, but I'm still really amazed that I was able to even get a strawberry seed to germinate and then make a little strawberry plant. I'm sorry. I'm impressed with myself over this.
Very impressive.
Pretty impressive. It's very impressive. That's awesome.
You-
about how small strawberry seed is?
as I'm picking my strawberries, occasionally I'll come across one that has, partially eaten by this or that critter, and I'm throwing them all up against the fence, right? There's this one spot where I'm throwing them, and there's sort of an old leaf pile there too, and I'm sort of wondering if I'm seeding something. If something grows next year, I'm just curious to see that work.
Totally are. That's so cool.
Well, speaking of your theme, and I've asked them to talk a few times, Jesse Clark from Nonchalant Farms, and the last year in the kitchen garden tour, she doesn't follow any of the traditional thing. She says she never throws out seed. She uses very old seed packages. She just throws them in the ground, doesn't thin them at all. Like they just and she had a really nice things growing there. I've asked her a few times to, they're obviously very busy, but I was fascinated that she, all the don'ts she did and seemed to be working for her.
Okay,
Also, that you and Chad, you guys, a couple in Chad, and you've all been here. My garden is surrounded by black walnut trees, which is supposed to be a no-no.
Yeah, exactly, right.
And everything grows there. And I didn't know that when I put it there. But the arborist had come to do a little bit of work, and he was like, nothing is going to grow here. I was like, wait, what? He was like, no, black walnuts kind of kill everything that's around, but somehow it works.
I think what happens with the black walnuts when it rains, when it comes off the leaves, if it hits tomato plants, it definitely causes a problem. I've had that problem before, but it doesn't affect everything. But the roots can, if the roots are in the garden, then you have competition. So it's several things are happening. It just could be the leaves overhead, or it could be the roots too, or the shade. So there's many things.
What is it about after the rain though, Bill? What was that?
Well, the rain that comes off of the leaves, off of the walnut leaves, seems to be somewhat toxic to the leaves of tomato plants.
Oh.
So at least that's been my experience.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to take a really good gander, because they do surround almost the entire garden. And the canopy is enormous. That's why the arborist was here to not cut down the tree, but just kind of trim it back. Because when I had planned to put the garden there, I was studying my yard from my window, looking out. And I was like, that's going to be the perfect spot. And then as the canopy grew, I went, holy crap, there's going to be no sun. So I had him come and take down some larger branches. And once he came, he was like, your garden is not going to grow there. But it did. So I don't know. But that's a rule I broke.
Exactly. Let's see. I just want to share the screen one more time. We showed this before Leslie joined us. Actually, I showed the late April one, and this one. What all have you got in here, Leslie?
I have the red trellises have pepper plants, purple, orange, and yellow. In the very front, on the front right-hand side, that's another tomato. I just stuck that in there the other day. Because I have my tomatoes on the other side of the yard. This will get sun until 4 o'clock, and then it's in shade. And I've grown the peppers here before, and they've done well. Last year, I flipped it and put the tomatoes here, and the tomatoes wanted the more sun. And the peppers didn't do as well on the opposite side, so I flipped them back. But I just put one tomato plant there to see what that would do. And then in the front, I have a Thai basil, and there's some celery on the left side, opposite, like right next to the red trellises. I have 2 celery plants. In the back, you can barely see it. And that's a fennel plant, but it's not green. So I don't know how well it's gonna do. It's right behind the composter section, and the post is kind of in the way. I took 2, I was trying to get it to show up a little better, but I'm thinking, well, it's still standing upright. It's not flopping over. So maybe the roots are still vigorous, and the greenery just needs to come back again. I need to have new green leaves, but and fennel grows pretty deeply. So I put it in the back thinking this is so deep and wide that maybe the roots would go down and spread out and not interfere with anything else. And I have a cucumber. You see that little on the right side is a white tag there in between the pepper and the tomato. It's I'm using my finger like you can see my finger.
Is that it? Is this
Yeah.
over here?
And because I put that in because I don't know how much I can actually put in here, because I figure the peppers and the tomato will have deep roots, probably the fennel, but the other things don't really. So I stuck some bush cucumbers there, and I figured I wanted to see if they would actually take and grow. So far I just have like a little shoot. I had that from seeds, so I'll see what happens with that. But you know, I mean, things are growing. You can see the composter, I didn't take a picture of it filled up again, but once a week it goes down about halfway. So I've got to then go back, put more kitchen scraps, more either coconut core or newspaper and cardboard, and build it back up again. And yeah, on the side, I have like there are, in each corner, you can't see them, I've got Russian sage, so I get lots of bees. And in these little pots, there's, I'm trying to think, I have, it's not coming up. There's a canna lily in one of the pots. And this larger round one, it's hard to see. There's one of those carmine cherry trees that grows about 6 feet that gets those sweet tart cherries. And so those are starting to turn red. Yeah, that in that round pot you were just looking at. And that's onion in the back, you know, the allium. But yeah. Oh, see now, this is ridiculous. I'm pointing to it with my cursor. I don't think that will show. Oh, gee. Anyway. But, you know, things are doing well in there. We've had a lot of cloudy days. So, but I figure it's only the second week in June, because, you know, I always go out there and be like, okay, grow guys, let's see some more action. But, you know, they seem to be doing okay. And the fact that the composter goes down halfway each week, I figure is a good sign that, you know, the plant is getting good nutrients, because everything I'm putting in there is compressing. And it's been raining a lot. I haven't had to put much water in it. And we'll see what the yield is.
Very good. Well, folks, we're a few minutes past our finish time. Does anybody have a last question?
This is a procedural question. Did you start at 8 today?
Yes, we did.
You know, I got the email, but I've been running around so much. I thought it was 8:30. So, okay.
Well, I thought it was going to be, I was concerned people would be logging on at 7:30 because that's the usual one.
Well, at first I thought 7:30. I said, oh, okay, it's at 8:30. So I just filled in busy things in between. And then I joined. It's like, no, this seems like it's been in progress for a while.
Yeah, the subject line of the email clearly said 8 p.m.
I'm not saying you didn't do it. It's me rushing.
Okay, okay.
Oh, thank you guys. Another great session.
Thanks everyone.
Oh,
and we missed Michelle this week. She'll be back from Arizona, I think. So thanks everyone. I'm going to stop the recording now.
Hey, take care.